Good day and you're welcome. Our topic for today is the meaning and scope of the subject matter of government. And our subsidiary aims will be to define government as an institution of the state, to explain the importance or reasons for government, and to tell what a state is, its features, its functions, and its structure. Government as an institution is a machinery that is responsible for the introduction and implementation of policies, meaning that it is responsible for policy formulation and its execution. So that explanation is an eye-opener into the reasons or importance of government, which is our second aim. When we say that the government needs to exist in order to carry out certain activities for the people, we are looking at a situation where, if you leave every man according to his own will, men will want to show their greed. So there is a need for that particular institution called government in a state to regulate the activities of men through certain institutions which we will later mention in our third subsidiary aim. But for now, the importance of government are to resolve conflict. That is the first importance of government. It resolves the conflict through the policies that it will make. The policies helps it to administer the people. So it carves out policies. That is the second reason for government. The first one is that it regulates the activities. The second one, it carves out policies that will guide the regulation of those activities. So if we say that government regulates activities, we should be able to say how it will do it, which is that it sets out to make out policies that will guide those activities. And in guiding those activities, it helps to resolve conflict. That's our aim. Government helps to resolve conflict. Because when it regulates, it brings policies in order to regulate. Such policies helps to resolve conflict. It helps in the administration of justice. That is the next one, which is the fourth. So in case conflict finally arises, despite its ability to regulate and formulate policies, it will help to do what? To administer justice in the presence of conflict. So the next one, which is the number 4, will be that it is a body that is responsible for political socialization. It helps people to be socialized politically. It helps its citizens, the citizens of a state, will now be socialized politically in order for them to participate. So it's an agent of political education. These few points can guide us in as much as it resolves conflict. It adjudicates in case there is a conflict. It sets out policies to regulate society. It administers justice. It also, which is one of the major definitions of political science, that it allocates scarce resources. So it has an economic attitude. It regulates. Remember, all the budgets of any country must pass through the legislators, must pass through all the executives before it arrives at the legislators, then back to the executive. So it helps to regulate and allocate scarce resources. That is one of the basic responsibilities of government. Whoever that occupies position, the group of people that occupies position are now responsible for allocating scarce resources to members of society. It has a social function. It regulates both education, religion, and all the rest, sports. The government regulates these activities. In the absence of government, it will be very difficult for men to organize themselves into a society and carry out these functions. So we have mentioned like 5 or more of the activities of government in a state. A state is a political, geographical territory that has population, recognition, sovereignty, legitimacy to carry out the activities, and it has finally government. So a state is a group of people, or a politically organized group of people that has a geographical territory, has recognized governments, they have sovereignty, and they are completely free from external control. That is what a state is. So we move on now to the features of a state. In the process of giving out our definitions, we have already mentioned the basic features of a state. Anytime that there is a definition to be made, that definition will contain certain features. Hence, that definition will not be complete. It must contain the features of that particular item which One is defining. So those are the features that we have used in the definition. I'll just mention them to us now. We said that it has a geographical territory or a defined territory. We also agreed that it has a population. We said it has government, permanence, recognition, legitimacy, and it has sovereignty. A state is permanent, a permanent entity. Governments come and governments go, but the state remains. And recognition is another factor. People may declare their independence without recognition from international bodies and organizations. They may not be able to sustain it for a long time, which at the end of the day, the lack of recognition may make them not to be included in whatever share that is due to countries of the world. Talk about sovereignty, which is the absolute power. Please, in democracies, sovereignty resides in the electorate. In stating the functions of a state, it maintains law and order. The security of life and property is the first function of government. It provides security for life and property of people. It provides basic amenities is the second one. It provides employment, creation of jobs is another one. It engages the people in political activities and brings welfare support, social amenities close to the people. These are just some of the basic functions of government which I have mentioned. That in every society, the major responsibility of government is to protect lives and property. The second, which is to empower the people financially by creating employment. The next is to protect their rights. The next is to guarantee them properties. The people are guaranteed social amenities, social properties, in order to sustain their living in society. But the most important item which we are about to move on to now, which is the last in this our subsidiary aim, is the structure of government. Now, when we want to discuss the structure, we may first of all need to consider the way it is composed as a government. If it's a unitary government, a federal government, confederal, or otherwise. If it's a monarchical government, a democracy, we need to consider these factors. But generally, the structure of every government, I'm using the federal government now as a typical example, the structure of it resides in those agents that carries out its functions. And those agents that carries out its functions are the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Those are basically the institutions that carries out the functions of the government. So they are the ones that composes or makes up its structure. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. This is a popular explanation that the executive, they implement. Sometimes they add to making laws. The judiciary, they interpret. Sometimes they add to making laws using the judicial precedents. The legislatures, their responsibility is to make laws. Where such laws were not assented by the executive, they also give assent to it by two-thirds majority, which also means that they also involve in implementation of laws. So, in the structure, the method of carrying out their functions has to do with checks and balances. When we talk about checks and balances, we are saying that they will be checking each other to balance so that one person does not intrude into the responsibility of the other. Then when we talk about separation of powers, we are saying that their responsibilities are separated. And these responsibilities are stated in the three major lists: the exclusive, the concurrent, and the residual list. The functions that are in the exclusive list are left for the federal government. The functions that are in the concurrent list are left for the state and federal government to handle, while the functions that are in the residual list are left for the state, as the case is in Nigeria today. That's what I'm telling you. The federal government handles the matters that are in the exclusive list, which are international affairs, currency, territorial defense, and all the rest. The state government and the federal government join hands together to handle issues that has to do with sports, it has to do with employment, education, it has to do with health. These areas are the areas where both the federal government and the state government comes together to partner. In the residual list, it is the responsibility of the state, but in partnership with the local government, to carry out these responsibilities. So, in our process of studying, we have mentioned that the local government also have a role to play. So we have mentioned the levels of government included in our discussion. So in summary, we have successfully done the first part of this particular topic, which is the meaning and scope of the subject matter of government. The meaning and scope of the subject matter of government. And we have successfully defined government as an institution of the state, as a machinery that carries out the will of the state. It formulates and carries out the will of the state. We have moved on to explain the reasons or importance of government. We have also done justice to defining the state, stating its features, its functions, and its structure. So we'll move on to the next talk, the next discussion now, which is government as an art of governing.